I
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Formula Trout League. This is the Lemon series. You should be able to hear me now. I didn't actually realise I'd started the stream, but we do appear to be live. Good evening, everyone. This is a bit impromptu. The stream wasn't planned to start like this. We're 15 minutes here into the 2-hour race. I'm not quite sure what's been going on, to be honest.
I'm just here to laugh every now and then.
Sorry. Yeah, so I'm just taking a look at the race standings. I'm Alex Cochran. I was driving the safety car briefly. I'm now streaming by accident.
How was the safety car drive for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I pulled away from the grid nicely. Didn't hit any other cars. Beat the lap nice and safe. Led the field around. Just yellow flag out there. Off. Yeah, it was okay, and then yeah, the grid started, and now 20 minutes into the race, we have the Griffin Gaming number 8 in the lead. That is
Felipe Olsen?
Felipe Olsen, is that right?
It says FO.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Well done. That was very stupid. Yeah, exactly. That's Felipe Olsen in the number 8. It's been a little while since I've been here in Formula Trout. I've been moving house. Been away for about 6 weeks, so I've not kind of been following what's going on. But yeah, this is round 3 of the Lemon series. We missed round 2. Well, what would have been round 3 at Monza. Unfortunately, it was cancelled just when the race failed in the attendance with our drivers. We just made the decision to cancel it. Obviously, here we are at Fuji. Instead, this is taken up the spot of round 3. Felipe Olsen put the rate there in the 14th lap. I'm very out of practice for this, so this is very strange for me. Hoping everyone can hear me on the stream okay. I've really not checked any settings. I pressed go by accident. I didn't realise the stream was actually starting. And yeah, it was live, but I think everyone can see okay. E2 at the moment is Jordi Lois of the Griffin car, the other Protec to the number 10 through the first corner now, 13 seconds behind the leader Felipe Olsen, behind his teammate. Quite a lot in 14 laps, that's nearly a lap. So, not sure if he got involved in the incident. As said, I was not keeping an eye on the race exactly. Unfortunately, sorry about that, but then again, further back, another 17 seconds is the V Racing Forenzo. Highest positioned Forenzo at the moment, number 17 car. I really don't know who is in that car, sorry. Very professional here.
Oh, I accidentally left the server.
We don't have an entry list actually, so I'm not sure who. Well, we do have an entry list, but it's only got the number of the car. Obviously, this is normally a well, it can be a multi-driver class, multi-driver series per car. Here today, it's only a 2-hour race, and all the teams have elected to only field 1 drivers in each car. So, you know, normally we'd be like, oh, it's the number 17 car, X driver is in it at this time, but since there's going to be no drivers for this area, it's just 1 driver in the car the whole race. I'm not sure who is in the car, sorry, because like I said, they're normally done just with the car number, and I've been away for a while, so I'm not sure with these new faces, or maybe it's old faces that I just don't recognise the name of. Anyway, we have Roberto Radocchia in the 26 Stella Alnac running P4 at the moment, 5 seconds back from the racing car. They're not too far back. You can just see down the straight there. Camera switches actually just to turn 1. The racing car just coming through turn 1. We wait 5 seconds, and the Stella Alnac car will come around. A bit of smoke there actually. Lock up 4 there for Enzo. But that's just through anyway, and then another 5 seconds to the Stella, not Stella Alnac, sorry, the Griffin Gaming red car. That's Christoph Böser in that car. The was running P3. It was a Griffin 123 at the start of the race, but around lap 3 or 4, he had a bit of a spin, dropped down to P5, and involved in another incident as well. So he's currently running P5. We actually ride on board with the Griffin gaming car, well, the Griffin gaming red car. Through the left-hander. We're at Fuji, if I didn't say. Race that is a track that's not new to Formula Trout League. We did race here in the Premier Series last time around. The race, I think, was run by Thomas Barber. I think it was his first race run in Formula Trout, actually. Quite a strategic race. We're back here again in the Lemon Series. You see Mount Fuji in the background there as they come to this very technical last sector. Quite difficult to do, especially in these tin tops, these GT cars, these prototypes. Yeah, they're light compared to a road car, but still much heavier compared to modern Formula 1, Formula Hybrid cars we race here in Trout. It's going to be quite handful to get the car gripped up in those long corners. But Christoph seemed to manage it okay there. Goes on to the straight P5. 28.2 for the Star Elnat car in front. What can he manage? 28.7. Very comparable lap times. Between those two, the Forenzo and the Protec. Okay, and the other V Racing car in P6 at the back of the field, currently 30 seconds down from Christoph, so it looks like they've got involved in an incident, unfortunately for them, the number 16 car. But long race, 1 hour 40 to go. Anything can happen. There's going to be pit stops, there's going to be incidents. Don't know what will happen. Just look a bit further down as well. We've got the GT class, don't forget those. There's only 3 cars in the GT class today, unfortunately. Currently leading is Ryan Wilson in Griffin Gaming Z4 BMW. Maybe known in Formula Trout as Super Yam. Ryan Wilson in the car, maybe uses in-game. The Griffin prototype there, about to lap. So both the Griffin stablemates, I suppose. Last one another as start the 17th prototype starts at 7th lap, has a lap down, so that's the 16th lap for them. Just behind, well, 24 seconds behind, so the position behind P2 in the GT3 class. That is the BM Junior car of Carlos Semanis, running P2 in that Audi, doing a bad job. 2 for further back again, and got the. Like that might be a shorthand name. Mispronounced. It is Vortex Racing. Apparently for E-Racing. That's what our timing screen's shortening it to. Ooh. Vortex Racing. Vortex Racing. The Vortex Racing Ferrari here, just coming through the last corner. Just ran a little wide on the ultimate corner. Got away with it. Pulls on to the start-finish straight. It's Luca Mangini in that car, I believe. Very active in Formula Trout. Actually, we don't actually see him on track that much, so good to see him on track here. Currently, unfortunately, in last position, but it is P3 in that GT car. It is so if he finishes the race, he will finish P3 overall. The leader just passing him there, lapping him. Back to your turn 1 camera is not very good at all. Ooh, position change there in P4 and P5. No, it isn't. Ignore that. It's a very Assetto Corsa race, very all-stars race. What can go wrong?
Yeah, it's got all the hallmarks.
Give it 10 minutes, the stream will crash, and we'll be it'll be radio broadcast instead.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, we got 1 hour 35 to finish to fiddle. So as the guys go around the track, and let's say we can discuss some of the goings on in Formula Trout League. You know, some of us that are watching here will, or maybe re-watching, might be the case, will be, you know, interested in where we're going in Formula Trout League. This is a yellow flag out for the Vortex Racing 16 gets going again. Okay. That drop back further from that. Yeah, goings on in Formula Trout. A few things, you know, to look forward to on the horizon. Just regarding very, very short term, the Sprint Series race is tomorrow. I believe it's too late to sign up for that. Might not be. So check the Discord server. You can find the link. I can't actually find the link. You can find the link in our channel description. You can also just search Formula Trout League. The website should come up. I'm pretty sure a Discord link should come up as well. Not very hard to find. It's quite a distinct thing. On camera, doing a great job there again. Yeah, the Sprint Series race is tomorrow, so I believe I said you can't. You might be able to sign up for it. Like I said, double check. 24 hours or so till that race, if you do make it quick. But that race is at the Red Bull Ring. It is a re-ran race after the earlier Red Bull Ring race was voided due to issues regarding classification of drivers. That race was cancelled. Well, cancelled. It was. They said it was postponed. The race was voided. It was re-ran tomorrow. If anyone wants to get involved, like I said, double check if you can race, but I think you might be able to squeak in. Been quite an exciting championship battle with that. As I said, I've been away for a little while, so I've not been following it super close, but I know there has been quite the close championship battle. Yap's been up there, won both races at Spa. Actually running the show there and doing a great job with that, so I appreciate that to him and everyone helping out with that. Especially Angel and Case, who have been running the media side of things for that, doing a couple of the streams. I think they've been doing a couple of the streams. Wrong. Yeah, you know, good to see that ongoing. If anyone wants to get involved with that, click it, because click it.
Give it a click.
Give it a click. Yeah, give our Discord server a click and hello. As said, there's a race tomorrow, but that's not the final round of the season. There's a few races to go yet. You can still get involved and participate in those ones. A lot of cars on track. That's the Dallara F317. The mod is by RSR. It's a pretty great mod. Very well known in the Assetto Corsa circle. It's one of the best mods for Assetto Corsa for a number of years. Very old mod, let's say, but it's not outdated. It was kind of made when Assetto Corsa was declared feature complete, and it's stayed as like one of the standout "this is a good mod" categories for people to download when they're new to the game. Quite easy car to drive too. So if you're not completely familiar with Formula cars, it's a good one to get involved with. Quite a lot of grip, quite low power.
Very demure, very mindful car.
Yes. Yeah, as said, get involved with that. You can find it on the server. It's called Sprint Series. Maxi's running it. All the frequently asked questions should be in their own channel, so if you've got any questions, check there first. You can sign up and get involved in that. But otherwise, coming in the next month or so, we can say, Premier Series Season 12 will be getting underway in the longest break we've ever had between Premier Series. I think the last 3 series it's been longer and longer every time. Just because of the mod teams really that are working on the cars. Season 10 we ran the VRC Formula Alpha 22 car. The first time we'd run a VRC car in years and years. And it was very fun. I really enjoyed that season driving it. Unfortunately, you know, the whole reason that happened, we ran that, was because both teams, well, you know, I say both teams, people that don't know, it's usually RSS Racing Studio and VRC, racing cars. Usually run one of their cars. It's been the RSS for quite a number of seasons before that, but it just took so long for the cars to release. It just ended up, whoever released the car first was who we went with. Which, you know, it worked out. The car was good, the season was good. Very fun to drive, but then for the season afterwards we switched back to the Race Sim Studio car. Just feedback from drivers, what they kind of preferred. The Race Sim Studio Formula Hybrid 23 that season was the one we went with. Good season, very good, hard to drive again. Both teams producing fantastic cars. It was a good championship throughout. Yeah, very close battle actually for the championship. It was Cody Lawrence and Thomas Barbary. Steve Stevenson as well, showing up as a solo driver in a few rounds to put a spanner in the works between those two. Quite a close season. A lot of fantastic races, to be honest. As said, mentioned earlier, this Fuji race there was fantastic. You know, strategic, super strategic race. I think Barbary came out ahead there, running much harder tyres, and I think that worked out. But just races after that, so, you know, one stop was a strategy one race, 2 stop the strategy the other race. Both drivers trying different things, and it was Really fantastic to watch. That was last season. That was over a year ago now.
Uh,
Because it just as the cars have released, as said, we kind of wait for the mod teams. We went with RSS last season, and a lot of our drivers do really like Race Sim Studio. We've spoken a lot with the Race Sim Studio guys, really friendly, a really good bunch of guys there, and you know we kind of decided early on that we wanted to run the RSS this season again, and it's not out yet. So we've been waiting for it. We don't really know any more than you guys.
ooh. Sorry
Yeah,
to cut
little
across,
wobble
but
there.
Felipe, yeah, did you see that?
Yeah, we had that on the stream, just a little wobble in the last corner. Got away with it, 18-2, so he doesn't really want to be making any errors like that. That could yeah, the RSS Formula Hybrid 2024, as I presume it will be called. They've teased it recently of RSS, so I'm kind of making an educated guess that it will be coming very soon. They've kind of mentioned that they wanted to prioritise the 3 other releases earlier on this year. So the ProTech that you're seeing now is one of the other RSS cars that launched this year, earlier launch, and that kind of pushed the Formula Hybrid back, and in turn it's pushed the Hybrid season back, the Premier Series back. But we will be having that, I want to say next month. That's the date that we've kind of formally penciled it in at. It might be a little later than that, but that is when everything will be kicking off for the Premier Series Season 12, so it hasn't really been completely announced, but looks like we're going to be going with the RSS Hybrid 24, unless there's something horrifically wrong with it, and RSS being RSS, I'm very sure that will not be the case, as there's yellow flags out for Jordi Lois. He's lost it in the middle sector, just after turn 1, gets away with it. Well, he doesn't get away with it, he was in the wall, but he's not lost any positions, so gets away with it in that sense. Such was the gap to Salar Alnak behind. You just see the Salar Alnak Forenzo there, foreground. But that's racing there, quite close as well. Fine, so we might have a battle on our hands there. But yeah, as I was saying, Premier Series is coming very soon, so if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, it's basically, I don't want to say, it's our version of Formula 1, let's say. It's based on the rule set of the top flight Formula class in real life. It's our own thing, it runs the Formula Hybrid cars, but if you're a fan of F1, a fan of driving, you know, the Formula 1 games, basically an analogue to that here in Assetto Corsa, Formula Hybrid, running usually around 12 races a season. You have your own teams, custom teams, 2 drivers per team, reserve drivers if you need it. Yeah, custom liveries and everything. Team Championship, Drivers Championship. It's usually pretty good. Like I said, we're on our 12th season here. It's been pretty successful. Yeah, if you want to get involved in that, big puff of smoke there is the Staller Alnak runs super wide. Looks like and they comes into contact with the GT. That is the GT hard into the wall. Just switch back to the racing. The Staller Alnak car went really, really wide through turn 1. Rejoined the track, didn't see the slow GT. I think he might have gone off because of the GT actually when he was racing that Vortex car. Come together and put the BM car in the wall. That's Carlos Scamanis in the number 60. Won't be happy with that. He's in the voice chat just above us here. Interested to hear what's going on. Not going to be happy with that. He's going to have damage. I don't think there's any need for a full course yellow because he does seem to be circulating okay. As you just heard me, it's my teeth microphone, but yeah, very disappointing going. Go back on following the go back to following the Staller Alnak car. Second or so behind that Vortex car, he gets a big snap of oversteer there in the middle sector. Oh, the final sector, sorry. Yeah, that probably has a bit of damage. Don't know why he ran wide. Like I said, I think it was because of the GT car. He was racing this other Forenzo, it just came together. What we want to see, unfortunately. But pulls onto the straight. He's 5 tenths behind. He might have a go at an overtake here.
I've got some word from the drivers. So Carlos has a red front end from that crash, or punt even, and the highly worn tyres. Super Yam's having a bit of a uneventful race. Ryan Wilson, that is. And Christoph has had 2 spins and he's working on his 3rd. Stay tuned. That's all I got so far.
We see, yeah, so Carlos, after that incident, has elected to come into the pit lane. Pit box goes. I'm sure he'll be here for quite a while fixing that damage. Aim to see, because he was basically a passenger in that. The prototype just came back on the track and threw him into the wall, which is the dangers of multi-class racing. That's one thing that can happen. Right on board here with Salar Alnak Lorenzo in that last sector, still behind the Vortex car. The mistake he made. So, these last two corners, as you said, Carlos, as you said, or Carlos said, he had one tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same for these prototypes. They're probably suffering with the tyres as well. 40 minutes into the race here, they're yet to pit, so it's quite long for a set of tyres to go. Going to be tiptoeing through that final sector live before they can power down that start finish right here. Ooh, the Vortex car goes very, very wide, exactly like the Stellar Alnak car did. Comes back on without punting him off though, and stays in front. I'm not going to say he should have given back the position, because he was never ahead, but at the same time, he did go off the track and kind of gain an advantage when he normally would have lost. But here comes the Stellar Alnak car up the inside. Just a bit of a half move there. The Vortex car leaves him room and stays in front for the time being. These camera angles are awful. Apologies for that. The Vortex car now on the inside. Forenzo versus Forenzo. He's later on the brakes. Can the Stellar Alnak cut the switch back? Oh, so bad. There we go, on board with the Stellar Alnak. So he went for the switchback, but then the corner, it's right-hander, a left-hander, and then another right-hander. That just means the switchback isn't really that effective. Vortex car stays ahead through the final sector for time. Camera angles are really bad for this track. I don't remember it being this bad when we raced here in the Formula Hybrids.
You can flip through 3 different types, yeah? You know that,
yeah,
right?
But they're all bad for turn 1. They all just look at the hillside.
Who's in the
Christoph in the pit lane.
I think he sensed his tyres leaving him. He didn't want to risk it.
Car back out there because of the traffic. Alnak in response, round the outside of the Griffin traffic. Ooh, as the Vortex runs wide, the Stellar Alnak car gets a much better run out the corner as we look at the trees. Look at the line, but the Vortex car on the inside as they get to the end of the straight there. Both cars locking up. We're just going to reuse on board now because these camera angles are very poor. Yeah, so the Vortex car is still in front. Very close between these two, but this traffic in front is, I'm going to say, it's definitely going to make a difference. We see the Audi there bouncing over the curbs. Or as the Vortex car looks at the inside, not able to do it, and look at the outside, yeah. And around that car follows him through. Both cars compromised here. 17 Brenda breaking the tail a little bit. Follow down to turn 1. Will not switch this. Rolling it myself. Vortex car on the brakes. Stellar Alnak follows just a little deep for the Vortex car there. Nearly side by side again. Super late on the brakes, round the outside for the Stellar Alnak. He's not able to keep it on the track, bounces over the curb, goes a little wide. Very close between these two. When they touch.
Ooh.
Doppia there, just powering out the corner, you know, using the four-wheel drive system of that Forenzo and just kind of straight lining the exit. The Vortex car behind tried to kind of tighten his line on the exit, and they came together. Darrell Philadelphia into P3 for the time being. Bit of a argy-bargy forceful overtake, but I think that's the way it had to be. He's behind him for around 3 or 4 laps there after the earlier mistake and unable to get past, and he did look to be a bit faster in that middle sector, so finally got through. You can see the Vortex kind of looking at the inside. Going to compromise him for this straight. If he can come back though, he's not that far behind, and this huge straight here at Fuji might be enough for the 16 coming to effect, and Vortex can't get back up the inside, but you can see pulling away there, but must have been saving him faster before the straight. Even though he wasn't faster in the middle sector too.
I think the Vortex is faster in the corners. I could be wrong. Could be just battery deployment, like you said.
Okay, we switch further back though. A couple of battles on track now. Got the other Vortex car, the number 16, following the Drift and Gaming red car off Christoph. Christoph just into the pit lane. Sure about the Vortex car. 7/10 behind though, separates these two. Looks like off the car might be a little bit faster here. Away in the braking zone and then go up the hill. But as you said, Christoph's working on that third spin, so we'll see.
Stay tuned.
See the Protec there wiggling around in that traction zone on the exit. Moving over the curbs even a little, so Christoph kind of struggling with that. Few tyres on that car, but the Frenzo there gets a terrible exit onto that last straight, onto the last corner, onto the straight, and that's really going to compromise him. You can see the gap went from 0.8 to 1.3, and it's just going to get bigger. Any chance of an overtake there lost. See the other Vortex car then coming into the pit lane. The background, Alnak stays out, so they're a lap ahead nearly of the Griffin Gaming red car and the Vortex car. So obviously different pit strategies, different time. It takes a long time to pit, so they want 43 minutes of fuel they've had on board, 43 minutes of tyres, so take a little longer to pit than you in, you know, the Formula Hybrid Premier Series. Oh, it's the Vortex car, the number 16, running very, very wide. Gets onto the grass, locks up all 4 wheels, slides across the corner. Thankfully, no one there. Gets away with that one. Could have been much worse. Just behind him is the Elnat car, a lap ahead. Blue flags between these two. Nearly comes together actually. The Elnat car, the chicken car, comes together with the Vortex. Just past. You can see though the Vortex car still in the pit lane. So very, very long pit. As the yellow flags are out for Christoph, that third spin has happened. Will that allow the number 16 to get through? Number 16 had a spin of himself, and yes, it does. It does allow him to get through, but as they both come onto the straight here, anyone's guess who's going to come out in front. Tucking into that slipstream there. Flying past actually, much, much greater in the straights. That Protec looks. Traffic on the inside. Clear him, and yeah, there we go. So Christoph briefly losing that position, but the superior straight line speed of that Griffin Protec enough to get him in front of the number 16 Vortex car. That third spin did come, didn't cost them too much. The Vortex car, number 16, had a spin of themselves a few corners earlier, and it did save Christoph from losing seconds to the number 17 Vortex car, the other Vortex car that has come out the pit lane now. Christoph probably going to set his sights on that one. Get back up to P4. Oh no, what have I done? Big slide for Christoph there. I thought he'd gone fully round. Bit of a half spin as he got to the apex. I think he just locked the rears, got away with it. Bit of a different livery for the Protec there. A lot more reminiscent of, you know, a real life Porsche livery, for example. You know, kind of reminds me of the old 919. The red one from about 2017, I think, on a very similar white, red and black livery. As joked in sports car circles, the mandated LMP1 livery, kind of the era where the Ferrari, no, there wasn't a Ferrari back then, sorry, the Audi was red, black, red and white, Porsche was red, black, red and white, and the Toyota was also black, red and white, the mandated livery that all teams must have ran. Good to see the representation there of the LMP1 uniform here in Formula Trout League. Hypercar. Protec, yeah, Protec. Very similar team. Always tickled me that, because even into the hypercar days of WEC, Toyota was still running, you know, their black, white and red corporate Gazoo racing colours. We had a new team, Scuderia Glickenhaus. What colour did they go with? Red. So, kind of a popular racing colour, of course, red. Can't really go wrong, but yeah, every car was red basically from about 2016, 2015 to 2021 or so. Not the 2022 even, so not the best spread of colours in the hypercar days now. Okay, what this Protec is kind of starting to represent, let's say, a similar inspiration. Yeah, a lot more variety in colours here in Trout and here and in real life, of course. Only a couple of teams running the corporate WEC required colours. But as I was rambling there, anyway, the number 8 car of Felipe Olsen is in the pit lane. So Salah Alnak, number 26, is up to P2, and Jordi Lois, now in 1, is the leader here at Fuji. Just over an hour to go, an hour and 10 minutes. A big slide there for Jordi. Away with it. So at 8, just out the pit lane, 31 seconds or so to his teammate, 12 seconds to Salah Alnak cars. Both cars, P1 and P2, yet to pit. So the net leader is still Felipe Olsen in that Protec in the number 8. Really good job. Nice and clean. Fast as well. By the, well, can't see by the huge gap at the moment. Just slides. I've noticed these are the Griffin guys sliding around in that middle sector. Protec must be much snappier on the rear than the Forenzo. Obviously, the Forenzo is a true. It's based off a Le Mans hypercar. Or it's a virtual racing car decides to call it. It's obviously based on the Le Mans hypercar rule set. Built chassis, 4-wheel drive, in the traction zones, completely custom hybrid system, which the Forenzo from VRC replicates. The Protec by RSS, on the other hand, that's replicating the IMSA LMDH rule set. Alnak 26 in the... Yeah, that's reflecting the IMSA rules, which are a bit different. They race together on track, but they're based off LMP2, real life, next generation. Oh, there's another slide. 180 degrees round, facing the wrong way on the apex as the other Griffin car is off there in the background. I don't know if that was an avoidance. Say it was, to save any embarrassment. Yeah, Jordi just losing the rear there. So I was saying, you know, it did look like the... Oh, as he gets the traffic wrong, runs on the grass, and he's a big slide.
Oh no!
Into the gravel. Or nearly into the gravel. Get rolling. Going from bad to worse for Jordi there. A bit of a half spin on the apex, got away with it, and just misjudged the traffic onto the grass, on the brakes, on the grass, round once again, nearly into the gravel. Cost him a lot of time. That might be even cost him the position against Salah Alnak. We'll see. Salah Alnak in the pit lane at the moment. Jordi yet to pit, so he's probably going to be pit. I expect. Comes out. He might end up coming out behind us. Salah Alnak car. Horrible that though. Coming into the pit lane now. See, as I was saying though, we were rudely interrupted by Jordi's spin. Yeah, the LMDH cars, based on the next generation LMP2 rule set, so the monocoque, the chassis, the cell. 3 manufacturers, I think it's Multimac, Matic. The Riley chassis. Shared between the two is the Orica chassis, and there is also the Dallara chassis. Dallara chassis, Cadillac, the Porsche is them. Read Wikipedia. Regardless, the Porsche, and then I guess by the ProTech, which is inspired by the Porsche, based off that chassis. So as I said, the next generation LMP2 chassis, spec hybrid system, much lower power than the LMH car. Only about 120 horsepower, maybe 160. Very different system. The rear wheels, completely rear wheel drive. The LMDH cars. It's similar. It's more like a souped up LMP2 car. Obviously, I say it's based on the chassis of an LMP. Yeah. 17 are about to go through. Car goes, oh, they're going to come out neck and neck. God, he comes out the pit lane here. At number 10 car, the inside, the number, I think Stella Alak on the outside, side by side as they exit the last corner nearly. Lorenzo not able to get ahead, pulls to the inside, show him in his mirrors, but boy, he does seem JNP2 even after that horrible in-lap he had. Traffic might come into effect here though. Both cars past that Ferrari. Yeah, just the whole philosophy, as I was saying, the whole philosophy between these two classes is completely different. As I said, it's LMP2 basically, a souped up LMP2 car versus an evolution of the LMP1 cars. LMP1 cars, now dead of course, completely different to LMH. Much heavier weight, even lower power I believe. They're nowhere near as fast as they used to be. The LMDH cars, they're still, actually seem to be a little bit slower, which is surprising, but the minimum weight is still much, much higher than the LMP1 cars a couple of years ago. Even an uncorked LMP2 car would actually be faster than an LMH car. Because speed isn't the name of the regulation, or a hypercar generally. Speed isn't the name of the regulation. Competition. Real life motorsport, that's definitely been the case. A Ferrari works team, a Porsche works team, Toyota, Cadillac, BMW, Alpine. So many names in endurance racing. It's not been like it since the 80s. I've said it a few times. Basically living through a golden age of endurance racing right now. Really fantastic to see all those manufacturers on track. As a reflection of that in sim racing, yeah, a lot more variety to play with. ProTech and the Forenzo based off. I'm not going to hide it anymore. It's based off the Ferrari and the Porsche. Pretty obvious. And yeah, you know, both these cars, very good representations inspired by those cars, and great to see them in sim racing. Something which years gone by, if you did want to race prototypes, you either had to make up your own cars or race Toyota and the Porsche and Audi, because they were the only three that were there. So much more now, so much more variety. Interesting as well, because people complain about the LMP1 cars, you know, they were much faster, much more technologically advanced, and they had F1 budgets. Believable technology, yeah, but if you can't race them, good is it? But you know, you look back in the day, you had a lot of LMP1 cars. The old bike Collettes, that was derived from a LMP2 car. Very good example, because it never finished a race really. But the Rebellion, on the other hand, you know, the Rebellion R1 actually, that was based, or was it the R13 actually? I think the R1 was based off an Orica 05 closed-top LMP2 car, and the R13 was based off the Orica 07 with the current gen LMP2 car. It was the same chassis essentially, it was a much more advanced aero, uncorked engine, and it was tremendously fast. 2020, when it was just Toyota and Rebellion in Le Mans, the non-hybrid rear-wheel drive Orica, nearly Rebellion, sorry, with the Orica chassis, it was nearly as fast as the all-time lap record in Le Mans. The all-time lap record, 3:14, I think, 2017 Le Mans, Kobayashi with the Toyota. You know, that's very, very fast lap, of course, but I think the Rebellion did a 3:15 or a 3:16. You know, this is completely different track conditions. It's a rear-wheel drive car with no hybrid assistance. It's unbelievably fast. Very, very fast car. The Orica chassis as well. You know, the whole platform, super reliable. One of the... It's not going to be very popular to say it, because it did kind of kill the class and make it Formula Orica, but the Orica 07 is probably one of the greatest racing cars of all time. the amount of wins it has, because it's the best car in the class. There's the three chassis to choose from, and it's just the best. Every team went with it. You know, you look at 2016 or 2017 Le Mans, when all the prototypes broke down essentially. You know, and it was the Jackie Chan, the Yotaran car, the Oracle 07, the new regulation when it came in, leading the race for hours and hours and hours and hours. I think it was only the 4 hours to go or something. Actually, the Porsche 919 that had been in the pit lane for repairs actually passed it for the lead. It didn't win by that many laps. Obviously, the LMP1 car is much faster, but it's an LMP2 car. You know, it's spec engine and a spec chassis, and the teams and drivers running them were absolutely well-oiled machines, even in the first year of competition. The car's just so fast. Fantastic platform. I said it's racing now. It's going to be probably racing for 10 years. 2027. 2027, I can't think the year the 07 was introduced, but they've been racing for 10 years, which is incredible for a race car. You know, you imagine, it's Felipe Olsen there running wide through the penultimate corner. Allows the Starrella car to get closer. Onto the P4 for the tyre, the P3 for the the Vortex car get to pit. Very, very long time on tank. Unless just these two getting involved in incidents has actually put them in net in front. I think that's actually the case. Yes, I think that's actually the case. So sorry for not noticing this. I've been rambling about WEC endurance racing for the last 20 minutes. Talking to myself essentially, so apologies for that. Feel free to interrupt.
No.
Okay. Yeah, the Stellar Alnick car running wide there. Yeah, the Vortex number 17 in P2 at the moment, actually, so I think that is a net P2. I've not really been paying attention, but yeah, so we saw the Stellar Alnick car go off, saw the Griffin Gaming car go off. The number 17, I think, is currently in P2, just 2 seconds, so we've got a bit of luck on our hands here. Also, obviously, Jordi Lewis, sorry, actually wanting to catch up to them. Trying his best to as well. Back on 42 there, 46 seconds lead though. And running a fantastic race. He's been really focusing. The cars and prototypes, so definitely a driver suited to this class of car. As I was rambling, just gonna, Orica 07, one of the greatest racing cars of all time. It's a bit boring, but statistically it is a fantastic car. A bit boring. It's the white goods of the racing world. But that will all change hopefully in the coming years. As I said, these are LMDH inside car. LMDH cars based off the next generation LMP2 chassis. Been a little bit delayed actually. It's very interesting that these LMDH cars are based off the LMP2 chassis, which isn't actually racing yet. The LMP2 cars racing are still Orica 07s, still the Lara P17 called P17, the awful grinding multi-match race because it was terrible. No, there's a fourth. There's the Ligio as well. But whatever, the Orica is the best. But obviously, as I was saying, these LMDH cars are based off the next generation, even though that next generation car yet to track must have been testing very similar to the car. I think it's just a slightly different pickup points with the suspension on the front of the tub, back of the tub, the engine, the gearbox mounting and everything will be a bit different. Not privy to the specifics of that, of course, but be a very similar derived platform. Oh, I can't disappear. No, I just saw it can't disappear. You know. Vortex. Yeah, great showing so far for that. Hopefully inside. Ooh, lap. Vortex car, as Felipe Olsen there, fastest lap, so after the pit stops, kind of getting in the car after the pit stop. 9 minutes to go, just over half distance. He sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:27. Fast lap. Second faster than the rest of the grid, actually. More like 28. That Peter Olsen showing why he has that 1:10 lead. But not much of a lead. Does the number 17 car have to Felipe Olsen there now? Felipe Olsen's car gap is now a 1 second gap. Is going to be looking to overtake the Sarah Allen car as well. So, 3 drivers all kind of coming together at the same time. Here they go. If the Olsen Protec, see if the Protec of Olsen will have that straight line advantage that we saw in the Griffin Red Protec car against the other Vortex car. See it closing, he's getting closer. Vortex car trying to break the draft, a little bit defensive on the inside, not close enough, but doesn't need to be close enough. The Vortex car locks the inside wheel, goes wide, just manages to get alongside. Oh, as Felipe pushes him off there. I was going to say, he kind of quite cheekily just gunned it on the outside of the track. And Felipe said, no, I'm going to, not Felipe, sorry, Jordan Lewis there, states no, my position. Squeezes him onto the grass a little as he rejoins. Takes that P2, so it's Griffin 1-2 again. Yeah, Vortex car getting caught out in the braking zone. Bending and then just getting it wrong. Do that Protec. Behind you see the Forenzo, the 2 Forenzos of the Vortex 17, Almac 20. Be a bit of racing on our hands there, or maybe even if you put with the Protec of Olsen and make the overtake, make the repass go. So a bit of strategy to go. Might be a one-stop actually for some drivers, but some of them might struggle to do that. Plus, the BM Junior car as well. 1 minute 40 seconds. Yellow flag out for red car. That's Christoph. Yeah, the BM Junior car, Carlos Scumanis, 1 minute 46 seconds behind the Griffin car of Ryan Wilson. Ryan Wilson, got wrong, is a master of these GT cars. Well known, he's known in ACRL, another league on a Assetto Corsa, specialises in those GT cars. Is Superyam. Ryan Wilson, very active in that community in the GT class, kind of showing why does that, because here he's a 1:42 lead. Griffin, that's the BM's car previous lap. He has a 1 minute 1 second. Sorry, below a minute. Yeah, you know. Ryan Wilson obviously showing his expertise. Classic car. Hannes as well. Handy in these cars, so it kind of shows raw speed, as not ignoring the fact that Hannes could get caught in an incident that was not his own fault. Car it was, but Prototype came back on the track and pinged him off in barriers. Get on pit stop. Yeah, brilliant P2. It was actually a bad lap for the Griffin Gaming car there. 2:28. Unless he pitted. I think that was an exceptionally bad lap for Ryan Wilson there. So just as I was singing his praises, I think he might have made a mistake. Unless that was an outlap. I think it was. I think he could have made a mistake there. Unless he's decided to back off. No. Hence tyre saving, because that gap has gone from 60. I swear it was more than a minute anyway. It's gone from a minute down to 55 seconds, and I think it was more than that when I said. Mistakenly said 1 minute 42 was the gap. That was Carlos's lap time, but the gap was more than a minute anyway. Something going on here. A mechanical problem, a hardware problem. Taking it easy. Backing off. I'm being. But eyes back up the field to the podium positions, the overall podium. Christoph in the pits now. So, Christoph in the pits now. Okay. That's an unplanned pit stop, I believe. what happened there. But yeah, the star on that car, Roberto Rodocchio, has caught up to the Vortex 17. We'll have a race on our hands for P3. And we're on the final straight here. We're on Fuji, entering the space for slipstream. GT driver knows not to get involved in a fight between prototypes, because even though the prototypes are supposed to navigate themselves around they can struggle to do so and get involved in few incidents, but on that car right up close to the Vortex there in the braking zone, a much different line, really go to the inside, has a look. The Vortex car has to leave him room, even though it's a bit of a half-hearted dive, and then you're never going to make a move there. Nature of the corner, the chicane, overtake. It's not like a hairpin into a chicane. It's a very unique corner. Really made to slow the track down. Fuji Speedway. Full name is its kind of historic name. It's a speedway circuit. Instead of having this very tight technical right-hander to this, at the end of this straight, breaking the tail. I don't know if they're putting there. Instead of having this very long straight into a four-line hairpin, it had a huge bank. That's why it's called speedway. It was a speedway. Not a perfect overlay, but it had a speedway in a section a bit like Monza. It wasn't a full oval, but it had like a bit of a loose layout. A European layout. America has kind of the proper full-on speedways. You have an outer speedway and then an inner oval, an inner road course circuit. So the European and I suppose the Asian way they do it. Fuji, for example, Asian tracks that do it, but instead of having it's not how that completely wrong. That's like right-hander, and you just got caught up in the car in front of missed the kink in the straight and got it wrong. Yeah, the European and kind of Asian way of doing the track seems to be more have a normal road course, have a normal circuit, and then just slap an oval, half an oval on the edge of it. I don't know why that was kind of the way they did it, why America favoured it one way and Europe and Asia favoured the other way. Not many of the European ovals, Asian ovals, survive really nowadays. Monza still has its banking, but it's not used for racing, all their parts. Other circuits like it, Fuji here doesn't really have its oval anymore. Air again, but it's not used for anything. Dangerous. And other circuits, I mean, even in very historic circuits, you think like Apus, the old German circuit was an autobahn, huge straight, hairpin at one end, big oval at the other end. Strange layout, but that's just the way it was in those days. And then ovals just never really took off as a racing in their own kind in Europe, as it was with America, NASCAR, IndyCar, Indianapolis, the Speedway. Something we have really over here. Close to that vortex car in the braking zone. I'll have to follow through this last sector though. But yeah, I can't even think of European ovals. You had Rockingham, but I think it still exists, but it's kind of just used as storage. Big shame, but it never really took off. It was an oval they built. Was the vortex car. Yeah, Rockingham just never took off. Fortunately shut. I think it hosted an IndyCar kart race, track car, back in the day, but no real proper series, no European NASCAR, that kind of thing. But unfortunately knows, we've got Lausitzring, Germany, another more recent built circuit. Again, it hosted cars. Ooh, this car goes down the inside. We see the Vortex car running wide in that first corner. So we're going to get that first corner. That position. And on that podium for the Nokia. But yeah, as I was saying, not many European ovals. Lausitzring, more recent oval, can use the cars, but not well known really in the European circles. I guess it's oval. Yeah, a few proving grounds and dedicated testing ovals, but no real surviving ones in Europe. Ones that doesn't have it anymore, like that. Brooklands in the UK, you know. I don't remember if Brooklands is the first purpose-built race circuit in the UK or Europe or one of them. The world? I don't want to say the world. Oh, it's a very opportunistic dive there for the Vortex car. Crashes into, to say, the BM Junior car of Carlos Scamanis. Carlos Scamanis, the innocent bystander yet again, but actually gets the overtake on the Star Alnak. So Star Alnak tiptoeing his way around the traffic, and yeah, the Vortex car just barging his way past the traffic, getting the position on the Star Alnak. But yeah, if that's reported to the stewards, there will definitely be a penalty coming there, because that was here completely the fault of the Vortex car. Just a passenger, and they came together. But there goes Star Alnak again. So it was all in vain. Didn't really count for anything. Punted that GP off. Nothing, because he wasn't. So it kind of shows you do need to be a little more circumspect when passing traffic. This will not be a happy bunny right now, I'm sure. Yeah, so what was I rambling about? We're not rambling this race. Got 47 minutes to fill, so we'll keep rambling. I'll keep rambling. Yeah, so as I was saying, you've got, you know, many European ovals. Right, I think any that exist. It always seems to be that circuits were built in the last 30 years or so with ovals in the hope that they would attract cars, Champ Car, IndyCar, NASCAR, domestic racing series, but never really took off. I think you got Twin Ring Motegi as well. Twin Ring, because it's the road circuit and an oval circuit. Completely separate circuits. Not really a roval, it's just oval built on top of a road course, essentially. Quite unique in that regard. But again, it's not really used for anything. One of these tracks where they build an oval, probably hosted Champ Car. I imagine it would have back in the day. But yeah, it has an oval, but it's not used. Really favour the type of racing that goes on in the rest of the world other than America. But yeah, Fuji. Good ways there. I can't remember how I even got onto this tangent. I'm talking about Brooklyn. Yeah, Brooklyn's an interesting one. Again, built as an oval. Back in the day, cars were just a full motorsport thing. Was either you race on a road, or if it's a purpose-built motorsport circuit, it's a track because it's built to be fast. That was the way they did it. But even then, it was an oval, not a perfect oval. It was kind of two oval corners and then a straight with a kink in it. Quite unique. And it was almost built like a horse racing track. You had a start-finish straight, which wasn't... Well, you had a start straight, sorry, which wasn't on the track. It was kind of... You pulled off the start straight to start the race, and then you would go around the track after that. You never went back on that start straight again. Quite unique. Like I said, it's a bit like a horse racing track is built, so... Very early days of motorsport. Into how they do it nowadays, and how most sports evolved into what we see today, what we see represented in racing here. The benefits of racing is you can simulate a great selection of pre-war 20s Grand Prix racing cars. The forerunner to what is now the Formula One Championship. Back then you You had independent Grand Prix races, which were not really part of an overall championship. Maybe they were here and there, but not the formula that they have nowadays. It was just individual races, some of which survive to these days. Outside of Formula One, you've the Grand Prix. Sorry, for the correct pronunciation. Obviously, the Grand Prix of Macau as well. The Grand Prix that isn't Formula One, Formula 3 cars, and the Grand Prix. Maybe Grand Prix of Australia. One of these rounds, which is called the Grand Prix and is historically a Grand Prix, but is not part of the championship. But on Assetto Corsa, there is great representations of a few 1920s cars. Incredibly different to anything you drive nowadays. Incredibly different to any sort of car you recognise. Completely, aerodynamics in cars was kind of understood in a way, but just the nature of how cars were built, they just made it look fast, and that was the way the engineering was done. Incredibly large displacement engine, incredibly tyres, such was the tyre technology of the time. Wire wheels. They still went 200 miles per hour. Very, very fast. Bathtubs. Formula One kind of started with that kind of car and very, very rapidly progressed. A lot of the things of kind of aircraft aerodynamics and things down to race cars. Aerodynamic monsters we see today. EFD and testing designs the shape of the car. There's no human who looks fast at all in a Formula car. It's all computers and aerodynamic design and practical wind tunnel tests. But these 1920 cars, they're fantastic to drive in a simulator. Wouldn't like to drive them in real life because they're bathtubs and on wheels, and they are kind of known for their very fearsome reputation of going through every corner sideways, and if you get it wrong, fall out because of no seatbelt. So massive respect to the people that used to race them back in the day. Very impressive. Watch it. You can do it in Assetto Corsa, you can do it in modern racing. Very, very unique, very nice to be able to do. Talked in the past in Formula Trout League, running a championship with some of these more retro cars, whether that be 1920s cars, probably not, but there's something in Formula One, let's say, from the 50s, 70s, I don't know. Every generation has this very unique line, so it'd be interesting to see a championship of one of those eras of or maybe even a bit of an all-stars championship, or maybe the Winter Cup where we run a bit more varied things than it before with 60 around Monaco. One of these tracks, add-on tracks for Corsa. In the Lotus, Lotus. Very, very fun. That was a very long time ago now, though. I think like 5 or 6 years ago, 2018 maybe. Very
20 years ago.
But it's 2014. It's 20 years ago. Yeah, but I remember those quite well. It was quite fun. We did Spa. We did classic Spa. I remember because I practiced for it. Spa in those days, a very, very different track to what it is nowadays. And if you learnt it, a lot of people didn't. Quite competitive. I wasn't very fast in those days, and I think I managed to finish P2 behind Ermas. Obviously very fast, and he did practice for it. He ended up winning that. I was in P2, which at the time for me, very good result. Winter Cup for anything, but it was good fun. Bit of flags out there for the Vortex. Way onto the track again, had a bit of a half split. Corner catching a lot of drivers out. Okay, what corner drivers out? 6 overall PC hypercar class. Yeah, as I was saying, we could maybe look at kind of a retro thing, Assetto Corsa. I don't want to say it's in its dying days, but Assetto Corsa Evo is not really just on the horizon. It's almost here. The Assetto Corsa Evo, now it's being presented pretty much as we speak at some event. Can't remember where it is. Maybe Sim Racing Expo.
E3.
Yeah, E3. E3's back, and Assetto Corsa Evo is the headline game there. Yeah, Assetto Corsa Evo, obviously, as we speak, is being displayed. The new Assetto Corsa, it's the successor to Assetto Corsa. ACC, a bit of a spin-off, focused on GT cars, ran in an Unreal Engine. Very good game in its own right, if you like GT cars. Formula Trout, we like our open wheel stuff, like our variety, and yeah, Assetto Corsa Evo needs to be providing that. Early next year, it's the access release, so probably 2 cars and a track, but it's going to grow from there, obviously. Be able to see if we get racing on there. Kind of the natural progression of where we'll go. You know, in Formula Trout League, we've spoke multiple times in the past few years. I think far back as like 2020. We move on from Assetto Corsa, but you know, our niche was always kind of found in Assetto Corsa. Basically done what we needed to do the whole time that we've been on the platform. After, you know, before I was here, at the early days of Formula Trout League, started on F1 2017.
17, I think.
Yeah, when you know, Maxi beat Nico Rosberg to the championship. Very different times for Formula Trout League, but you know, ever since that first season, moved on to Assetto Corsa. Been there ever since. Platform has evolved as we've evolved in terms of the drivers, the variety of things that we've ran, technology available in the game, the efforts of modders to just provide thinkable things back in those days. There's night racing now, wet racing now. Couldn't have done that back then. You know, nowadays, like I said, as we've evolved, wanting to do those things, Christoph's had another spin and has dropped behind. As we've evolved, Christoph's had another. That led into that nicely. Yeah, Christoph there just spinning in the penultimate corner. So as I said, that corner just catching everyone out. Dropped down to P6. The final car in that hypercar field. So still 37 minutes to go. So, yeah, as we've evolved, the Sim's evolved, and it's kind of kept up with what we've needed. And we did talk about moving off the platform, but there's been some great racing games released in the past few years, and Factor 2, for example, not a new game, but it's kind of come on a lot last couple of years since Motorsport Games did things with it, improved it, but you know, they changed it. It's come on in waves. We considered it, we looked at it, but again, it's not really the platform. There's other leagues on R Factor 2 kind of do the same thing we do on Assetto Corsa. We run the Formula 1 inspired cars, and it's not really what we wanted. We had our niche in Corsa. AMS2, another fantastic simulator. Basically, Project Cars 3 is the successor to Project Cars 2. It's the same engine and it expands on that. Project Cars 3 probably should have been. You know, it's another fantastic simulator. Dynamic weather, dynamic night and day. Very good simulator. Great choice of cars and tracks. But at the time, it had no mod support. I believe it does have mod support now. The mod package, mod toolkit has been made for it. But compared to Assetto Corsa, it's animal. Assetto Corsa has basically any car you can think, any track you can think of, various degrees of legality and quality. Of course, Evo is setting to fit. But yeah, you know, no sim has really hit our needs as well as Assetto. Want to run a track in a season, you can. If we want to run a type of car in a season, you can. Absolutely perfect for that. But I'm saying, Assetto Corsa Evo is coming. It's supposed to have mod support. Be a bit more curated mod support. Saying recently, but hopefully, you know, Race Sim Studio will be there. VRC will be there. United Race Design, and a couple of the other high quality mod teams, and a lot of the free modders. On a race department or overtake.com release their mods there as long as they're scratch made of acceptable quality. It's, I guess, what the developers want, which hopefully there is a bit more flexibility than just use this mod, because that wouldn't be ideal, but we'll see. Time will tell. Shaping up to be quite nice, things kind of brought over from ACC into AC Evo, so it's going to have dynamic night, it's going to have dynamic weather. What a set of Corsa probably as the next step. A set of Corsa is a great platform for hot mapping, stock, really much else. It mods the work of the community that's put it to the level where it is today. Obviously Kunos can look at that, they kind of understand why AC is successful, why ACC is successful, and then merge the two together, make what hopefully a great simulator. Inroad, that Vortex car, still 30 to go. I'm gonna have to race, but still go. Gaming number 8 has lapped the Griffin Gaming number 10 car. Olsen has lapped Jordy Lewis a lap ahead of the field. Brewers Racing, this is what you get. Not Formula 1 where you do get those gaps up and down the field. It is more methodical, longer, off. A silly term people use for them. It's a game of chess. I can't think of the term I'm thinking of. People use to describe like Alan Prost and things. Bit of a silly term. Say it. Yeah, regardless, kind of race, it's more methodical. And spend longer planning your strategy, planning your race. The yellow flag, 20 seconds behind. Differential. The car at the stage of the race. You could hear him saying actually he hadn't done any full long run testing. Or earlier on he had a few spins later on into the stint. Now it's later on into his second stint. Issues yet again. Fortunate to see, but I was saying it's a methodical race. Maybe he's doing it on purpose. Maybe he's spinning on purpose, and then the race will come to him. See, 30 minutes to go, so still in play for 8 in the pit then, so the final pit stop for Felipe Olsen in the lead. Just as I was talking then, Jordy Lewis did have a half spin in the last corner, dropped a bit further behind his teammate, who is a lap ahead. Teammate has now come into the pit lane, so still behind him, but he's not a lap down anymore on the lead lap yet again. Lewis is on the lead lap yet. Olsen lead, probably hold on to the lead at the pit lane. Just to mention, we have lost Luca Mangini in the Ferrari G3 car. He was running G3, on the podium last, but P3. Yeah, lost him unfortunately. Did see yellow flags.
Better go find him.
Sorry?
You better go find him.
Yeah, I think there was a yellow flags out for him, which battle with Vortex car. Terminal damage, he's had to retire from the race, which is a shame. Was a guaranteed podium for him. Finish the race. Hello, Christoph Berzer, his team boss there. Mirroring his 8, the prototype class, up ahead of closest car, so drivers with the experience, with the time behind the wheel of these cars matters by a significant. Zoom is working, could I checked it? Apology, ooh, as Jordy Lewis has another half spin. Just gonna have a weird audio apologies. can't hear myself on this. Good to know. Where are we going at the moment? Following the tent and some is one, I think, left hand. The corner, right-hander. Circuit here at Fuji gets more technical as it goes on, basically. Long straight to start with, and then one kind of easy hairpin and a left-hand kink. Right-hand kink into a very quite tricky left-hand braking zone. It was actually in the last sector, which shows you how well I know this track. Coming out the first corner, no, he's easy. Last sector. And it still stands though. I know the track layout in my head. Have the gets more technical as it goes on. You got the upper left-hander to a bit of a straight, and then that final sector's very, very technical. You got a wiggly chicane hairpin combo, a lot of turning whilst braking uphill, loads the outside wheel. Very easy to lock up, very easy to flat spot the tyre, very easy to lock the rear, as a lot of drivers do. Ultimate corner and lose the car. Drivers quite struggling with that last sector, but it builds up as you go. You know, the load on the tyres builds up, the wear, the heat up in the tyre. Go through the lap. It's quite a tricky track for tyres in that regard, because you're going to want to set the pressures to the optimum level throughout the lap. You have a track with very, very long straight for the tyres to cool down. Then a few high speed corners, which do work the tyres, of course. Quite high speed, easy corners, let's say, and then you get to that last sector where, you know, maybe you've had the tyre, you need that middle ground pressures, but you get to the last sector and it's very technical. Right, left, right, left. Car is under load, car is on the throttle and the brakes. Very hard on the tyres, and you know, that middle ground of tyres, it goes from being low pressure at the start of the lap, low temperature at the start of the lap, sorry, and you get to the end of the lap and the pressures will be much higher, temperatures will be much higher, because you've worked it in that last sector so hard, and then will cool down on the straight again. So that middle ground is quite tricky. Some teams might favour that last sector and have too cold tyres for the rest of the lap, or they might, you know, go for that overall, want the tyres in the optimum window throughout the lap. That is where you're really going to struggle in that last sector, and where drivers clearly have been struggling in nearly the whole field, losing it in that last sector. I think I've seen Olsen lose it. Definitely seen Geordie lose it. We've definitely seen Salah Alnak lose it. Both Vortex cars. We've seen Christoph lose it. I think they kind of get away with it a little bit. Obviously, you've got the ABS in those cars, makes it a little easier for those corners, but still going to be a challenge. It hits the curb very hard there. Sausage curve on the inside. Still a lap ahead of the Alnak behind. Very well. Olsen, Lois, sorry, he's pitted for the final time. Alnak and the Vortex car were both in front of P2 but I think after everyone puts through, I think this net. Yes, of course. Outed, but the Frenzo is better in the race. Protec is better at the start of the race. In qualifying, Frenzo pulls it back throughout as that four-wheel drive, as I was talking about earlier. It's a bit easier on the tyres. You can get away with one tyres more. That four-wheel drive drag you through those high-speed corners. Tyres have started to come out, whereas these LMDH cars, as the tyre wears, those rears are really going to struggle. Hell, they're struggling, just the amount of rear locking that's by the Protec.
Do you think there's a significant advantage to using the ProTech over the Forenzo?
It's an interesting one. I don't think so. I think it's very driver dependent and it's very situation dependent. We've got a spread here. We've got the ProTech who has a 1 lap advantage to the next closest car, but then the next 2 cars are Forenzos in P3, teammate of Olsen, far behind the Forenzos. So I don't think it is the car. I don't think it is a significant advantage. It's an advantage in the fact that kind of get your move on quickly. Get your move on. Yeah, you can kind of make the most of the car in the early stages of the stint as the Forenzo claws it back. And I think in endurance racing, unless you have the endurance racing mindset, it's quite difficult to do that. It's a thing don't maybe consider. You think at the start of the race, you're very focused, you're very hyped up, you know what the target is at the start of the race, and you can see everyone around you. But as the race goes on, concentration is going to lapse. But that's when the Forenzo comes into its element. But psychologically, you might have just let off a little bit. You don't have the cars around you anymore. You might seem a bit like all is lost. The ProTech has ran away at that first stage of the race, and unless you can kind of psychologically overcome that, might not be able to give it that 100% that you need to, and not able to make the most of that Forenzo. Something to maybe consider. And you have that gap, that opposite gap to the car in front. You just can't close it because mentally you just can't. You just can't focus enough in the late stage of the race. And this is only a 2-hour race, but we're running a full distance 24-hour race. I think that would really become evident. Maybe it would be much more interesting there though, because in these 2-hour sprint duros, it's an endurance in a way per driver. It's a 2-hour race with multi-class, but for the cars and the strategy, it's still very much a sprint. You're pitting, you're taking tyres, you're taking fuel, driving till it runs out. You're pitting, you're taking tyres, you're taking fuel, you drive it till the race is over. In a 24-hour race, there's so many more segments to the race, and so much more split strategies. They were saying the Forenzo's better in the race, but when you have a 24-hour race to think about, you suddenly have the Forenzo might be able to go for another stint on the same tyres, have faster things, and then you get out of sync. Then the ProTech might be at the end of its stint. When the Forenzo is in the middle of its stint, and it kind of goes back and forth, and could end up with the Forenzo being significantly faster over a 24-hour race. Just hard to say. I think these cars are already built for that kind of racing, built for the long haul, built for the long races where that is going to matter. Fortunately, that's not really being reflected in the races. And the ProTech does seem to have the advantage. Is the lighter car, more simple car. Does help you get the vortex. So yeah, that's good stuff. Well, I was about to say the vortex is pitting, vortex Forenzo's pitting, but Buzz was pitting as well. So 20 minutes to go. Both drivers happen to do a bit of a splash and dash, and as we were saying, ProTech kind of has the advantage at the start of the stint. So there's only 20 minutes to go. That ProTech is going to now have that advantage for those 20 minutes, and I doubt that the Forenzo will have the advantage. Well, unless the driver can overcome it, of course. ProTech is a bit faster at the start. 24-hour race, have another 22 hours to go now, and they might start to come into an element, and I think we're just not seeing that really, unfortunately. That's the slap. That time around for Felipe Olsen, 5. Last of the field. Plastic jump. We've been building on it and building on it. Pulling that lap time down. Track rubbers in as well, of course. Rubber smoke. Very long pit stop. Or wait, have we actually lost the number 16 Vortex car?
Yeah.
They've actually retired from the race. Okay, I didn't realize
They literally
that.
did it in the last minute.
I thought they were in the pit lane. Yeah, so I was saying that, you know, Christoph was going to have the advantage there, but might be able to catch up. It turns out that that car has actually retired from the race. Yeah, so actually they might be classified, because it's 80% distance. They might be classified. If they are, they'll be classified overall behind the Aston paper car. So, or why the retirement is. No, I can't answer that one, but that has made Christoph's day a little bit easier. Now pretty much has a guaranteed P5. Track. 20 minutes. Thing though. 2-hour race is not exactly cars. Drivers deal with it. I mean, Christoph did a dash and dash there, whereas in 24-hour race he would have been going 22 hours after this. Talked about running length. Normally Trout really come to fruition. It's difficult to get the numbers for that kind of thing because you need, you know, teams of at least 3 drivers fitted for 24 hours, which is a big ask. A lot of people, especially in Formula Trout League, where we focus on the sprint races, we're not a dedicated endurance league. It is quite difficult sometimes to ask these sprint drivers to race a 24-hour race where they need to basically be on call for 24 hours in case something. Some drivers, that kind of thing, definitely. I'm no stranger to endurance racing, but everyone's different. Everyone sim races different things. Everyone has different interests. We provide the formula side of that most of the time. Apart from here, you're watching Lemon series at the top endurance racing cars. Notice that the audio might be a bit quiet. For the last 2 hours we've been, or and a half we've been. Turn that up a little. Definitely hear me, but quite aware that being able to hear me well enough. Apologies for difficult to mix the sound while I'm not actually listening to the sound. I'm listening to the in-game audio from the sim. My own voice in my head. Apologies. Final 15 minutes of the race here. Fuji power race. 45 minutes in, 50 to go. Lorenzo of Vortex and being the only surviving Vortex car, the car and its car in class, the Vortex. The race, so Vortex 17. Only one remaining. Interesting thing if the Lorenzo can be not really rotating those 2 stops. Lois is at the moment was running bulk of the race. Now in P4 behind the 2 remaining Forenzos. Might be able to do it on the 1 stop. The gap is quite a lot, so second a minute, it's doable, but fast pace. 8, 5, that last lap. Six. Lois, so definitely not the faster car at the moment. Griffin, Vortex. Or what kind of lap times the star on that car is doing? Remotely same, but about 2 seconds lap faster if he's going to close that gap. As there's a yellow flag out for that number 10 car, he stopped on track on the inside and he retired from the race. People do that, switch to them. But Jordy Lewis has retired from the race. Don't know why. Don't know if he had damage or something. The yellow flags was out, so maybe got into an incident before we switched and blew the engine, and that would be race over. Okay, so yeah, we've lost the mate of leader Olsen. Was running P4. Gone. So from game in red was P5. Is going to jump up to P4 in about a lap or so. Unlaps the theoretical position that 10 car was holding. Leaders there passing each the Griffin leader prototype passing Griffin at the lead class side by side. End of this back straight final sector. It will pull away from that GT traffic. Car in the other class. Start lap 74. Go 12. Might just crack 80 laps. Longer than a Formula 1 Grand Prix. They do 300-kilometer distance. Yeah, 300-kilometer distance. Here we're doing a timed race. 2 hours. Going to be doing around about 80 laps. A bit longer than a Formula 1 Grand Prix. But variable to deal with. Sprint Duro format running here in the Lemon Series for the bulk of the races. Exceptions. And Le Mans itself run slightly longer races. Have driver swaps, closely reflecting what we would have in it. Go as we stare at a building. Fortunately, back in Premier Series again. Have to look at changing that up because it is a great track. Otherwise, it's great to have a variety of tracks and quite a track. Real life and in sim racing, too common. Very different comparison to Luca, the other Japanese track.
Wait, when did we lose Jody Lewis?
About 5 minutes ago.
That's...
Fortunate. Yeah, the Fuji quite different to Suzuka, but you know, another race, Grade 1 FIA circuit that's hosted Formula 1 in real life. Hosts Endurance Championship as well, of course. Race was a couple of weeks ago actually. Always quite fun at Fuji because they have the Circuit Safari bus on the circuit, which watch you board that bus one day. Which is the privilege of that, but quite interesting to have the prototypes, cars up close and personal, on track experience. Average fan. They've started introducing circuits as well. America as well. I've seen Circuit Safari, as they call it, in the buses on the demo laps they have. I need to read up on Maybe we should replicate it in Trout someday. Have someone drive a bus and drive around on the circuit. Also, being a Assetto Corsa, there's definitely quite a few bus add-ons out there. Double decker, and bendy buses. Also, I don't know how well the articulation or physics are quite made for it, but sight to behold. Go all out and have the plane as well, physics engine on. Having the wings, flip the wings upside down, and you can have a plane. So start a race, bus, you can have a plane fly over the track. Plane can fly over the track. The bus will hopefully, but it's a set of Corsa, so it has a mind of its own. Trout space program, rather than a bus flying. Anyway, 8 minutes to go here at Fuji. Gaming kart, Olsen in the lead, 1 lap gap, 77th lap, apologies. Aralnak P2, Gokia piloting that car, Vortex Racing Forenzo number 17 in P3, retirement of Olsen, Lowest has Brett to that podium. Gaming red car of Christoph Berzer in P4. Getting the spoils of the other cars. Firing up to P4. Fortunately for Christoph, not running the best of races, I'm sure he would admit he didn't do too much practice, so probably kind of expected it coming into it, and P4 isn't a bad result, of course. Spoils of the retirees. A good points haul there for the overall championship. Up to the E-Class then. 7 minutes to go now. Griffin Gaming BMW Z4. Ryan Wilson. 1 lap gap. 2, which is the BM Racing Junior car of Carlos Skamanis. He's a lap behind. Teammate, you just see green here. You see the Griffin car overtaking Carlos there. Talking about in the Audi. MS Ultra. Great GT. Previous 3 class though, we're not running the Evo variants. Who need that? Classic 2016 Audi. Actually, his homologation has nearly expired, so Audi GT3 class car of Audi is sports car racing. But then again, I think the GT2 R8 has a longer homologation. That was injured. So, little legs left. 4 rings. Sports car. They're setting the lights on. One, of course. Purchased Sauber, doing as Alfa Romeo for the last couple of years. Purchased the Sauber team. I'm in sports cars. Formula 1. Kinda for the first time. Go back far enough. Free racing. Union. 4 rings of Audi. I don't think that's quite correct, because I think logo. Happy accident. I don't know. I don't know the well enough. 5 minutes to go here. Yeah, as Formula 1. Not the first time. Interesting if they don't. Undoubtedly run out of corporate colours. White. Time will tell. 26, I think. Be branded fully as Audi. What they do, have their own power unit, of course. Turbo, hybrid, out energy. Recovery off the turbo presently. Much higher station of the half the power will be provided by the motors. 160 horsepower is at the moment. Formula, see how Audi fares in that. Very well in sports car racing. Entered. Bit of a shame they did announce, oh, we're entering Dakar, oh, we're entering LMDH, we're entering, you know, BBC. Dakar happened. The LMDH car never did. It was going to be basically a sister car to the Protec you're watching, the Porsche based car, similar chassis, aero, same engine. I never turned the wheel. Anger, maybe there was a few closed door tests that we never saw, but off, which is racing. Very well known. Definitely domination. 15 years or so. Porsche running a car. The car that Audi would have ran is going to be the same. Porsche V8 derived from an engine, I want to say. I think it might be derived from the chopped down version. Regardless, it would have powered the Audi, it never did, it powered the Porsche instead. See the Griffin Gaming 8 car, leader of the prototype class, passing the class. 2 minutes to go here, probably 2 laps. Thinking Olsen could back off. Make this the final lap if he really wanted to. Slow down 30 seconds or so. He has the gap to do it. He has a 1 lap gap, so he's not actually going to stop now. Wadokia could pass him, but yeah, he could slow down by 30 seconds and make this the final lap if he. Not a foot wrong, whole 2 hour distance. Yeah, definitely my driver of the day to say. Olsen in that car, kind of unfair to Ryan Wilson, of course, in the GT. Both drivers putting on a very, very similar show, dominating the class, leading the class for essentially the whole race. But wrong, so both drivers did a fantastic job. Don't want to say one is a driver of the day, the other isn't my driver of the day, because both not really done anything wrong. Can't pick one. Olsen's going to get the headlines for winning overall, but just as much class. Lost. Carlos Skamanis in the BM Junior cars retired from the race. Last running car. He's going to be classified at this distance, so he's decided to retire early. 20 seconds to go here at Fuji, so now it is the last lap. Last lap for Olsen. Yeah, as I was saying, Carlos will be classified as a lap down behind his a lap down behind the other GT car, so he's chosen to retire. Doesn't make a difference. Final standings, he will finish P8 overall. Final lap now. The Olsen making his way through this final sector. We don't see him, we see the barriers, but we will see him emerge. There he is, just coming up to the penultimate corner, through the final right-hander, up the hill. Final lap of the race. Not put a foot wrong at all. A whole 2 hour length. Olsen will win here at Fuji. Very, very long down to the finish line. Very long straight down to the finish line. But there we go. Finish of the race. Olsen in P8. Sorry. Olsen in P1 in the number 8 car. Fantastic job from him. Absolute fantastic drive. For some reason I was talking about losing Carlos, but he's still on track, so I'm not quite sure what I was on about there. I think I got confused between the Griffin cars, but here comes Ryan Wilson over the line in P1 in the GT class. Alnak car as well. Or Alnak 2 overall. Yeah, sorry, for some reason I thought Ryan Wilson was in the junior car, in the BM junior car, and the Griffin Gaming GT car was a hypercar, even though it was GT. Apologies for that. Carlos has not made the decision to retire from the race, so thank you, Carlos. Sorry for accusing you of doing so. Not that wrong with that, of course. But Carlos will cross the finish line in P6 here, not P. So congratulations to him. Out, doing class, great job. Yeah, so P1 was Olsen in Griffin, 2 Roberto Radocchia, 3 Vortex Racing car, who I'm not sure who's driving it, sorry. Right, just that car number, but the number 17 Vortex car anyway. 3 rounding off the podium. 4 was the Griffin Gaming red car of Christoph Börzer, number 21. 5 overall, so the first place car in the GT3 class, Ryan. And just like his teammate, team prototype class. Not wrong either. That class. Very, very catch the car. Manis did actually finish the race and he did 6. Overall, P2 in the class. Everyone, I think drivers may have been classified actually. Check, there may be a P7 or a P8 finish. Check the results. Formula Trout League, there's links in our Discord server if you want to take a look at that. Check the results afterwards. Driver, if they've been classified, they would be on there. Maybe a P7 and P8 finishing driver. Regardless, Gordy Lewis will be classified, of course, because he did complete. Probably be in 7, 5 in prototype class. So that was 2 hours, or 1 hour 40 minutes that we streamed of Fuji. Look, drivers waiting for interview. We'll drag them in. Sure, drag in class winner of GT3 first. Good evening, Ryan. Fantastic job through that race. You didn't really seem to put a foot wrong. You won the GT3 class. 5 overall as well, so congratulations with that. Anything you really have to say about that fantastic performance?
I actually quite enjoyed today. This is my favorite car, and well, favorite sim car at least. And I always jump at the opportunity to drive this thing whenever I can, and this track especially. It's a great combo. So I'm just happy to have the opportunity today.
Yeah, it's very good to hear that you enjoyed your time behind the wheel. But you did kind of dominate the class. I don't think you lost the lead in the class at all, even in the pit stops. I think position. So really great job there.
I think I was the only person to one stop. I fuel saved and only pitted once.
Oh, interesting. We did actually note that in the middle of the stream. I think you had about a 1 second 10 gap to the BM car, and then that kind of dropped to around 55 seconds, 50 seconds. But it's really interesting that you say that. I didn't actually notice that you did a one stop. Good to know. That's why the gap did go down. Fuel saving does make sense.
Yep, because he's pushing as hard as he can, and I'm on I'm on softs for 60 minutes. So there's a bit, yeah.
Really impressive, and obviously your many years of experience in Assetto Corsa GT cars has really come through there, and has allowed you to do that. So congratulations yet again for the win.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for broadcasting, guys. Always love to watch it back whenever I get the opportunity.
Yeah, I implore that you do. There's some absolutely fantastic rambling in the middle of the race, so you should
Peak
definitely
banter.
watch it in full. Popcorn,
That's
sit down, enjoy it.
Watch it at half speed as well.
Yes,
will
Really
do.
soak it.
really take it in. Yeah. Anyway, thanks Ryan for racing. Congratulations again on the win. Yeah, hope to see you next time out.
Thank you very much.
So that was Ryan Wilson, a winner in the GT class. We now have Felipe Olsen available for. We'll draw him in. Good evening, Felipe. Great job for that win. Dominant performance.
Thank you.
Not exactly led it from start to finish, but near enough did. Any really thing to say about that? Because from our end, it looked like you had it easy.
Yeah, well, I guess the practice paid off again. It was a pretty comfortable race. I was still pushing, obviously, because I wanted to see what I can do, but yeah, nothing really special. I was actually planning to do even an earlier first stop, but then the car felt okay, so I kept going. And yeah, really, really nice race. Not really much to say.
It's interesting that you say that. You clearly were pushing. I think your fastest lap was a 1:26.5, about half distance. Really fast lap time. And it's interesting to say that even though you're pushing, even though you were setting those fast laps, you went longer than you thought, and you were still comfortable in the car, because a lot of other drivers, especially in the Pro Tech, really struggling, especially that middle sector and the last sector, blocking the rears, losing the rear of the car, spinning around. So you did get away with that, even when you took the tyres longer than you were planning on. So it shows how practice does pay off there.
Yeah, I mean, I did quite a lot of practice. I basically didn't do any quality runs. I was just doing long runs to see how the car behaves, and it was difficult to drive. It wasn't easy, but yeah, I mean, the car felt good for me, and that was all I needed. It was a really comfortable car.
Yeah, that's definitely what counts. And I think teammates maybe not feeling the same. As said, there's quite a few half spins, quite a few mistakes, which overall, 2-hour race, that really does cost them. And clearly you won by over a lap at the end. So really, really does show. Just want to ask, I don't know if you do know, Jody Lewis, your teammate, he was running P4 near the end, and then he did actually retire from the race. I'm just know why at all.
Yes, he just posted it in the 11 chat. He had to pee.
Ah, okay. Sure.
The funniest retirement I've ever seen, I have to say. I was like, what happened? He was like, I was expecting him to come back up to P2, and then all of a sudden I hear in
He
TeamSpeak
did
that he
P2.
disconnected, and then I look in the Discord and he says he had to pee. I was just like, oh man.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't say I expected that, but thanks for providing us with that insight. Okay, that's a P4 for him, lost, so that's a shame.
Yeah, that is a
One of
shame.
them things.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I make sure before these long races that I do go to the toilet, because as you can see, it can affect the outcome of the race. So yeah,
Your race, I suppose. Yeah. One of them things. Okay, well, as said, thanks for sharing that with us. Once again, congratulations for the win. Really dominant performance there. Really great job driving that car for that distance and not putting a foot wrong. So well done, and I hope to see you next time out, wherever that will be.
thank you very much, and yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you for race directing, and see you in Daytona.
Was Olsen the winner, overall winner in the prototype class. Now P2 PT class, Carlos Skamanis, he has to say. Good evening,
Hello.
Carlos. Bit of a interesting race there. You obviously finished P2 over Finished P2 in the GT class, which is a good result, but we caught on stream quite a few times. You were a bit of a punching bag. GT car, the prototype cars were just kind of smashing you off the circuit on quite a few occasions.
Yeah, I mean, I try to drive like you do the etiquette you do in endurance leagues, but this is more an F1 league, so I guess they expected me to pull out of the way a little bit more than I did. I could have been a little given a little more space at some points, but yeah, I think overall it was fun. Overall it was good. Some people biggest gripe is some people miss the apex when they overtake, which is then fun to avoiding action. But yeah, it happens. Most people in this league are beginners in endurance, and the only way you learn is to drive.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It was more of a Formula League. Endurance is kind of new, multi-class. Learn those. Regarding that, I think in the first pit stop you made, you were punted off by the Salar car. Just kind of rejoined the track and didn't see you and just pushed you into the barrier. You did have to make an early pit stop because of that. Did that compromise your race at all? Or was it just you pitted slightly earlier and then compensated?
Yeah, pitted about 7 laps early. And still, the strategy was still the same. Just had to extend the second and third stint a little bit. But yeah, that stuff happens. There was another LMH, which is why I didn't take the right side of the track. Otherwise, the incident probably wouldn't have happened. But yeah, it was just Swiss cheese principle. There is an LMH on the inside of me, so I didn't want to aggressively take that side to give the car coming back space. He didn't see me on his radar or his screen. It happens. I'm not mad. It's just multi-class racing in a nutshell.
Yeah, happen. Good to hear that you can kind of look past it. Did still enjoy the race, and as I said, P2 is a good result, good points haul for the junior racing here. I always say it's nice to hear that name back in Formula Trout League. It's been in the Premier Series for years, so good to hear that.
Yeah, I had to pull out the old livery. It's a absolutely beautiful livery by Shadow, as he's very well known in this league as well for making half of the Premier Series grid liveries. This is an OG one from 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So
Definitely
yeah,
getting your money's worth then.
yeah, and it's very nice. So I had to pull it back out.
Yeah, it definitely looks great. It's quite distinctive. You're the only team running the Audi as well. Now, earlier season was a few more, but the BM being the R and the Audi, it's a cool combo. Anyway, as I said, thank you for racing. Good result in P2, and hope to see you at Daytona round. Yeah, you hopefully good showing there and not get punted around by those prototypes like you did here.
Thank you guys for the stream.
So that was Carlos Camanes, P2 in the GT class. So finally, we have Christoph Berzer, was P4 overall at the end, inheriting it after a few guys went off. Drag him in. Good evening, Christoph. Not a bad result in the end there. P4 did look a little lower down earlier on, but kind of picked up the pieces after a few cars retired. Yeah, P4, not a bad overall result. We did see you having a few troubles with the car. You did mention prior to the race to me that you hadn't done any long runs, so like your race was kind of compromised because of that from the very beginning. But as I said, P4, not a bad result, and yeah, you just talk us through it.
Yeah, if a few moments is as a bit of an understatement. I don't know, something between the track and the car myself just didn't work out today. I can't really point out what. It's just in the whole last section I was struggling so much every lap, literally. Sometimes I was a bit understeering, which was fine, and sometimes it just went. Not even on used tires. It was like at the middle of the stint where the tires wouldn't really be used. My guess is that they were overheating and once you slide, you only spiral down from there. So, not sure, but definitely was a unique experience today.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? As you admitted, if you don't really do the long runs, you don't really do the practice, as kind of the opposite to Felipe. He said he did lots of practice and it did kind of show, and then you, not to be rude, but it did show the other way.
Yeah.
Lack of practice, it kind of does compromise what you're going to be able to do. But respect for finishing anyway. As said, you did pick up the pieces after a few guys retired. P4 in the class, so that's a good points haul for Griffin Red. Points haul for yourself.
Yay! Thank you.
And then obviously, is it next round is Daytona?
I was just thinking about rescheduling, so it might very well be Monza in 14 days' time, not 3 weeks, in 2 weeks' time. To have the long race at Daytona as a season finisher.
Well, it's good to ask. If anyone doesn't know, watching the stream, Chris Burza is the organizer of this series, so big thanks to you for making all this possible. Yeah, and just thought I'd ask you because you would definitely know. Yeah, interesting to know that that might be the case. If there is the next round, it'll be good to see. Cancelled, unfortunately, due to attendance, but I think it did. People that did want to attend, it's just timings didn't line up for them personally. So hopefully, if the race is rescheduled, they will be able to make it. Hopefully, you yourself will be there. Self too. Hopefully, I can stream or whatever needs to be done by doing so. Yeah, just for making the day possible, Christoph. Very good, and thanks for racing, of course.
Thank you for adminning the race, and thank you both for streaming it. Thank you very much.
No problem. So thanks. Yes, so that concludes the 2 hours of Fuji. Interesting race in the end. Go through winners again. We had Ray Olsen, Prototype Class, and Ryan Wilson. Plus both Griffin Gaming cars, the ProTech Z4. Congratulations to all our winners. Congratulations to our finishers. Apologies to our retirees who were not able to finish the race. I'm sure they'd like to. It's endurance racing. People drop out. Appreciate them showing up in the first place, putting on a show for us. Enjoyed their time on track that they have. So, we will be back tomorrow for the sprint series here in Formula Trout League. Check out our Discord server to get involved in that. 2 rounds left of that series if you want to get involved. Too late now. I was saying earlier on, it's maybe you have time, but it's definitely too late now to race tomorrow. But there will be more races in the future to keep an eye on, and Premier Series Season 12 is coming soon. Stay tuned for that in Formula Trout League. Thank you everybody for watching. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your night.